Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk a little politics now. President Obama's favorability rating, it's now at 46%. To give you a frame of reference, Mitt Romney, he's at 36. And if his unfavorable rating, it is that higher of the president here. So people not with a lot of love for Mitt Romney and vice versa here, not exactly thinking that he's warm and fuzzy as well. But is that enough to win Obama a second term? Basically just pointing at the other guy saying, hey, I'm better than that. What should his strategy be, the president's here, to win re-election come this November? Well, joining us tonight to talk about 2012 and beyond, Dominic Carter, veteran political journalist and author, Basil Smikle, political strategist and a former top aide to Hillary Clinton and professor at Columbia University, and our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman. And tonight, we're going to be turning our panel into a political consulting firm here. And in this case, we're going to take on President Obama. Now, in this case, Basil, I'll start with you. Does the president, both in tone here, say, you know what, as much as they don't like Romney, they really hate Congress? Does he run against Congress, or does he run against his probable opponent in the general, Mitt Romney?
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one, he has been running against Congress. If you hear a lot of his rhetoric over the last few months, he's talking about they won't let me do my job. And he's referring to Congress. So he has actually been using those talking points. And I believe that he's doing it in line with what the majority of Americans think, that Congress is not doing their job. They're not really there for us. They're there for themselves. So that's the first thing. Secondly, and this is, I think this is sort of a political rule of thumb, anger only gets you to 49%. You actually have to like the guy to get to 51%. We saw that in a number of presidential elections. A lot of people wanted to vote against George Bush, but they didn't love John Kerry. 49%. You know.
Well,
so I think
using the percentages, Dominic, that brings me to my next one, which is the 99%. Those protests were based off of anger here, and we're hearing little elements of the class war from the president, even though he says this is not about class war, it's about fairness. If he runs against the 1%, polls say that's a popular issue, but is that good politics in 2012 for the president?
Well, yes, to answer your question directly. Democrats have always historically run against the 1%, only it wasn't called the 1%. It was called the wealthy, the well-to-do, members of the Republican Party. And that's when Obama is at his best. Because let's face it, he's a much better campaigner when he's out there connecting with people.
But there's a distinction between saying to the 99%, I feel your pain, all right, I'm for you, versus you, the 1%, you, the job creators. It's time that you pay your fair taxes here. It's time that you stop squeezing the middle class here, pointing a finger, in effect, at a particular population.
He's already been doing that during this campaign, and it's my prediction he will do a lot more of it. It's something that connects very well with the masses. It's something that energizes his base, number one, and it may play very well to those crucial independent
defense.
Certainly, and that's when Obama is at his best. Let's face it, how did McCain try and stop him? He couldn't. He ran a commercial saying, hey, this guy is a rock star. Do you want your president to be a rock star?
Right.
Andrew, what about the Supreme Court? Because we've seen a little bit of one step forward, two steps back from the administration since the hearing, saying, hey, it is their right here, with a little bit of a civics lesson. But Obamacare is a little tricky because it's not exactly loved by the American public. But if it does get overturned, some people say this could be the best thing for the president. How does he run on health care reform?
You know, I think he's got to be careful when it comes to the Supreme Court and health care reform. It's one of those things that will rev up his own base. It'll rev up the Democrats when it comes to health care reform, but also the Supreme Court in general with other potential issues and things that could turn. The problem is it doesn't play to the other side of the aisle. So you're not going to get a lot of Republicans and you're not going to get a lot of independents who jump on board the president's reelection campaign if he's railing against the Supreme Court. So that'll get him some of the way and get him some of the votes that he needs. But it's a very double-edged sword for him. And I think the numbers show people still support the court. People don't want the president to attack the court. And I think he runs a potential danger there if he goes too far.
Basil, tell me an issue we're not talking about, a hidden issue, whether it's, hey, this could happen, or trust me, this is going to come up in 2012 no matter what external factors occur.
Well, I think there are some reports about it today, but I think it's going to grow. The fact that seniors are going to be huge in this election. The president has lost support among seniors. The Republicans seem to have gained. All this conversation about Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, because we have baby boomers retiring, that is a huge, huge conversation. So there are two quick pieces of that. The first is what the president needs to do is hit Republicans on that Ryan plan, privatizing Social Security. Can't do that. And I think he gained some of that strength. But at the same time, one of the things we're not really talking about, because it's generally seen as a state issue, is the state of pensions in this country. The fact that particularly here in New York, with tier 6, I think we're at now, union members, folks are being asked to retire later and are getting less money. Part of it's being privatized, or part of it may be privatized, and also it really hurts younger workers. So there is this growing concern among a lot of older residents and folks who are about to retire or are retiring, that there is a lack of fairness now built into the system. I don't think Democrats will really hold other Democrats responsible for that, but I think it's an incredible talking point that the president can use.
Andrew, how about you?
Oh, I've got three quickly. One is the European economy. I mean, our economy seems to be rebounding, but Europe's right on the edge of the knife, and a downturn there, a hiccup there could really resonate here. Another one is gas prices. Not much the president can do on this, but no price change hits people as quickly as gas prices do. They start feeling it changes their behavior, it changes their spending patterns, and it really leads to increased misery. The third one is Iran, which could be a contributor to gas prices too. If any flare-up in the Middle East happens, that could be devastating for the president.
And also it's going to impact the Jewish vote as well as the overall here.
To a degree.
Dominic?
I guess I would say, and it's something that's continuing to emerge out of Trayvon Martin, race relations. And I've said this before, whenever the topic of race comes up, that's not good for this sitting incumbent president as the first African American in the White House, because race is a polarizing issue that's divisive. Some say that it plays to Obama's base. Like, for example, Richard, on the way in, I was listening to the Michael Baisden show, which is a national minority-based show, and his whole thing in mentioning justice for Trayvon was make sure you registered to vote and make sure that you vote. And so that's good for the base, but I don't think it plays well for America. But that's an issue that I think that's not on the table as of right now.
Navigate it very carefully,
Yes,
as we saw 4 years ago with the Reverend Wright affair. How do you address race without being polarizing?